There's hundreds, no thousands, no tens of thousands of books on how to raise a child, but we have the author of How to Raise an Adult next.
That's right. On today's show, we have Julie Lythcott-Haims. She is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, How to Raise an Adult, Break Free of the Overparenting Trap, and Prepare Your Kid for Success. She is also a speaker. She is going to be featured this September 13th, and if you're listening to this far into the future, this is September 13th, 2016, on PBS doing a TED Talk. Of course, if you do listen to this after she makes her appearance on PBS, you can always watch it online. And now she's writing for a living. She used to work at Stanford, but she's writing for a living. So welcome to the show, Julie.
Thanks so much, Tim and Scott. Nice to be with you guys.
Great. Why don't you go ahead and get us started with just a brief introduction to what your book is all about, How to Raise an Adult. Are you talking about raising someone that's an adult? What is this, raising an adult?
Well, in my decade as the Dean of Freshmen at Stanford, I grew increasingly concerned that while the students on my campus were extraordinarily talented in a resume and transcript sense, over the years, they seemed less and less familiar with their own selves. They seemed to be very reliant upon parents to tell them what to do and how to do it, how to think about a problem or an opportunity, how to solve a problem, how to cope when something didn't go quite right. And I found myself sort of, worrying over what's to become of these young people. When will they seize that mantle of adulthood? When will they claim that label for themselves and have confidence that they have what it takes to make a choice, solve a problem, cope with what life throws you in the normal course? So to your funny question, are we talking about, adult-aged people? Kind of we are. I mean, I think the media likes to say today that young adults have failed to launch, and to the extent they have failed to launch, I think the fact of their having been overparented has something to do with it. So, I really am quite interested in young adults thriving and in what we parents can do to help our kids and teenagers and young adult children develop the skills and the habits and the mindsets they need in order to make their way in the world, rather than to foster a continual dependence upon us forever.
What kind of things were you seeing?
What kinds of things was I seeing?
Yeah, that kind of like led you to this place.
A very typical example is this one. It'd be the start of the freshman year at Stanford, and I'd hear from parents that they were going to bring their kid to college, that they wanted to meet with me to talk about the opportunities available for their kid. And I would say very kindly and respectfully, absolutely, I'd love to meet with you. Be sure to bring your kid, and then I'd meet with the three of them, and often the parents would be asking the questions, and I'd redirect my eye contact to the kid with my answer, and I'd start to ask the kid questions, and the kid would kind of pause and say nothing and wait for mom or dad to step in. And it was clear to me that obviously this kid was very accomplished. He made his way to a very elite university, but he was very accustomed to having his mom or his dad kind of narrate that experience, ask the questions of an authority figure, figure things out, keep track of stuff. And I wanted that kid to start to realize, like, first of all, you can do this. Second of all, you have to do this. This is college now, and you can't be looking over your shoulder every moment of every day for your parents to do the talking or the question asking or the problem solving.
Yeah, Julie, this stuff really resonates with Scott and me. We are brothers in real life, and we have the same dad, and our dad and mom were really big about just raising independent kids and throwing it back into our lap and having us take care of our own business. I find that as a teacher, I teach 5th grade, I spend a lot of time just trying to coach those parents, and I'll get phone calls or notes or texts. My kid lost this, they lost that, somebody's treating them wrong. It's like, these are things your child cannot talk to me about? Right. I mean, I want the parents to just let go and have their kids start approaching me and take responsibility for their own problems and their own issues in life.
Yeah, one of the criticisms I get is, I heard this once, it just made me cringe and laugh because it was so absurd. Somebody said, Julie Lythcott-Haims says, if our kid is drowning, we should just turn our backs on them. And I thought, okay, you folks, you're not even paying attention. Of course I'm not saying that. I'm a parent. I've got 2 teenagers. I adore them. But what I want for them is to be able to do more and more for themselves, because goodness knows one day I won't be here. And I hope that day is many, many, many decades away. But I need to know my kids can fend for themselves. We all should really hunger for that. So to your point, Tim, about what you've seen as a teacher, I think parents need guidance. It's not enough for us to just say, let go, your 5th grader can handle it, because nowadays nobody knows, nobody remembers what it should look like. So I think as educators, as a teacher, as a school system and district, what parents are craving is like a how-to list. Like if at the start of the year you were like to put together, a sheet of paper for your parents or throw it up on your website to say, this is what healthy parental involvement looks like, and give them some examples. And this is what's crossing the line and what we expect your 5th grader to be able to do for themselves. If you can give specific examples related to your discipline or to your school district, because parents are looking for that guidance. What's green flag? What's red flag? They need guidance from schools, and they want to know that every other parent is being treated the same way. They're worried, if I don't bring my kid's homework, he'll get a B or a C. Some other parent's going to bring their kid's homework to school, and they're going to get the better grade. My kid is punished because you told me to let go. So parents want to know that every parent is being given kind of the same rules, and every parent is being treated, the same way with regard to this concept of letting kids do more for themselves and having more responsibility.
Boom, I'll take it. That was perfect. And I think what the powerful statement in there is really that we need to be a little bit more proactive as teachers in what that looks like. And so would you say there's a line we shouldn't cross in education as far as giving advice and parenting? Because we can get some pushback a little bit in that. This is my family, this is my household, I can handle it. There's that other side and that other piece of maybe giving too much advice to a parenting group that's a challenge for a teacher as well?
I think whether we are parents or teachers or school administrators, all of us want to be respected and valued. I think one of the really frustrating elements or byproducts of overparenting is we parents, we don't trust anybody. So we think we know better than our kids' kindergarten teacher, 5th grade teacher, 12th grade teacher, college professor, coach, etc. We are in an era where we parents, and I think we adults generally, don't trust authority. And if we're educated enough in our own right, we tend to think we can challenge the teacher about their curriculum, their content, their pedagogy. And it makes teachers, as you well know, I'm sure you've heard, feel really under assault. So I think we have to start by rebuilding some mutual respect and understanding. Let's go back to basics. Like, what is the purpose of K through 8 or K through 12 education? We've got these young humans who need to learn a lot of content. They need to learn about their own behavior and their judgment. They need to build their character just as much as they need to build their math facts. I think to revisit as a school, why do we exist? And this is often easier for independent and private schools because often they have kind of a founding mission and vision statement in the way that public schools might not have. But regardless of whether you're public or private, kind of gather together as a school community with the head of school or principal, with the teachers, and with parents, and say, look, let's remind ourselves why we're in this business called education, because it's certainly not to get rich. We're in it because we love young humans, and we love getting to be older humans who help them become their grown-up selves. Let's recommit to what that process is meant to be like, the role of teacher, the role of head of school or principal, the role of parents in supporting that endeavor. And then let's talk about where some of those lines can get crossed, where a teacher can feel that their authority and autonomy is being encroached upon, or where a parent can feel they're totally left out of the loop and not valued. We want everyone to feel valued. Ultimately, we don't want to, take our eyes off the central point, which is this young human ought to have more skills, be able to be more competent, more independent year after year after year.
Now, I imagine you have a copy of your book sitting around there somewhere?
Funny you should ask, right?
There it is. So that book is it's not like 5 pages long. It's pretty thick. It's a long book.
305 pages, Tim.
Wow. Okay, so give us some, obviously in the time of our interview, you're not going to take away everything from the book, and have people say, oh, I don't need to buy the book now because she told us everything. But can you give us something specific that people seem to really relate to in your book and gives them one of those aha moments?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. On page, I believe the paperback just came out, and I'm not sure the page numbers are the same as the hardback. Yeah, it looks like they are. Okay, page 166 to 169 goes over a sample set of chores that kids can start doing as young as, wait for it, age 2. Okay, this was an eye-opening concept for me, and it's actually something I talk about in my TED Talk that's coming out. Turns out chores are super duper important when it comes to forming a work ethic that is going to serve you well out in the workplace one day. There's a study that suggests that professional success in life comes from having done chores as a child. Okay, it's less about test prep and the perfect GPA and more about, can you roll up your sleeves, can you pitch in, can you do the work that needs to be done? So that has been one of the more eye-opening aspects of my book. I have parents come to me and say, my kids hate your book because I'm giving them chores now thanks to your book. But this, it's a lovely list, and I didn't invent it. I got it from a respected parenting online website. But it's what 2 to 3-year-olds can do, what 4 to 5-year-olds can do, what 7 to 8-year-olds. In other words, it's in very small age chunks. Different kinds of things that kids can do, different skills and competencies they can acquire. I didn't give my kids chores till they were about 8 and 10. And boy, when I decided they needed to do chores, they were like, why haven't we been doing it all along if this is so important? They had the analytical reasoning, even if they didn't have the chore skills. And we parents have to say, you know what, that's my mistake. You should have been doing it all along, and we're going to make up for lost time now. A part-time job also serves the same function once a kid's old enough to do that. In other words, we tend to want to smooth their path and make it lovely because we think that will lead somehow to a happy, successful life. We're actually undermining their chance to develop important skills they're going to need to be successful in life. So chores.
Can you give us one of those 2-year-old chores?
Yeah. Let's see here. One of those 2-year-old.
My kids were like 5, and I've got pictures of them at the sink washing dishes with suds and stuff,
There you go. All right. Ages 2 to 3, small chores and basic grooming skills. By the age of 3, your child should be able to help put his toys away, dress himself with some help from you, put his clothes in the hamper when he undresses, clear his plate after meals, assist in setting the table, brush his teeth, and wash his face with assistance. Woo!
So, I mean, we probably as parents underestimate what our kids can do, right? I mean, we just, and I really love the aspect of this because it also creates a sense of like contribution to the family, rather than just like the family's here to serve me, and when I'm done and don't need the family, then I can go do whatever I want. It's like I have ownership, I have part, I make this family run better.
Great point.
I love that about the chores, so that's cool.
There's another book that I'll just promote here. My friend Madeline Levine wrote The Price of Privilege, and this one that I'm holding up is Teach Your Children Well. She's a psychologist out here in Northern California, best-selling author, and she boils it down really beautifully to 3 things we parents must not do in furtherance of our kids' development and wellness. We mustn't do what they can already do for themselves. So you think to that list of chores, what a 2-year-old or 3-year-old can do for themselves. They can actually put those clothes in the hamper. So then let them, okay? Don't do what they can already do, she says. Don't do what they can almost do, because that's where the learning happens. And then third, don't do what's just in furtherance of our own ego as parents. Like we need that for our own ego. No. That's not That has nothing to do with your kid. So I try to keep that in mind, to look for that curve of learning. What can my kid almost do? If I can back off to the side or back away and let my kid do it, knowing he's not going to do it perfectly or she's not going to do it perfectly, but of course she's learning. He's learning to do it. And if I get in the way, then they'll never learn. So
now, let me throw you a curveball here, because I'm sure you've done lots of these interviews. Are you there?
I'm ready.
Okay, so where does the whole concept of modeling giving to your kids or modeling service? So, I mean, I'm 100% behind what you're saying. I'm just trying to throw out a question that some of our listeners might be asking, which is, I want to show my kids that I want to serve them too, that I want to take care of them so that they will in turn turn around to someone else and do the same thing. So model that as a parent. How does that play into all of this?
You know, I think what we really want is for our children to be interested in serving others and knowing how to work hard on their own behalf. And so I think we can model it by doing for them, but also letting them see that, and then someone does for us, that a family is an ecosystem where it's not that children are served and parents are doing the serving only. You know, we all pitch in and we all contribute to the running of the place, to the betterment of the whole. You know, it's not unloving to ask our kids to pitch in and help out and make the household a better place. It's actually instilling in them important skills that they're going to need to have if they're going to be successful on their own one day.
Yeah, it just really feels like we are in need of this mindset shift to a place where we are valuing, rather than like lifting up our child, we're valuing that end goal of raising this adult, like you're talking about, that can be successful and independent, which is, I think, such a powerful message. And I'm so thankful that you've written this book and you're out there talking and sharing about this as a teacher, because I think what it allows me to do is say, hey, we're not the only voices saying this. This is coming from, intelligent, well-qualified people that are seeing this from the lowest levels to the highest achieving universities in the nation. So, I really appreciate your effort on this one. Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Scott. And let me say this, it's not easy. My kids are 15 and 17, and I am constantly trying to walk the walk of my book. I've got a kid whose college applications are underway, or ought to be, and it's excruciating to think, like, I know so much about this. I could really, do this and that, but I know I need a kid who's actually done the work for himself, so that when he gets to that college, he's not going to be looking over his shoulder, wanting me to do the hard stuff for him. Too many of us are going for that short-term win of the overhelp in the moment, not realizing it really undercuts their chances in the long run. So, it's challenging, but often we have to bite our tongue and sit on our hands and let our kids try something, not abandon them, not turn our backs on them, but, take pride in the fact that our kid, every day gets a little bit more competent, becomes someone who can tie his shoes, cut his own meat, put his homework in his backpack, talk to a teacher when something's going wrong, be away from home for a few hours at a time, once he's old enough. It's that lengthening of the leash from us. They're not on a leash forever, and or if we think they are, we're really in trouble. So, I just wanted to say at the end, it's not easy, but we must. We owe it to our kids to take an interest in them becoming independent, thriving adults.
So I have a book request from you for you. So once your kids get to into their 20s,
yeah,
I want you to write a book on how do you deal with your 19-year-old that lives at home. Because I have kids that are all past years. I've got one that's coming behind yours too. So yeah. I figure if you write it in time, then I'll have a better idea what to do with my fourth one.
This is people, more kids are living at home today in their 20s. Part of that is the terrible economy, and makes perfect sense. Of course you're going to come home. But here's the thing. Do they act like children when they're at home, or do they behave like competent young adults? You know, they're living under your roof, great, but they ought to be pitching in. If they're earning any kind of income, some of it should go toward the household because they're adults now. You know, they ought to help with the groceries. They ought to help make meals. They not just sit on the couch and watch Netflix, you know. I mean,
I hear you. Just wait till your kids are 19.
Well, and I'll give you a sneak peek. My third book, it's not going to be out for, you know, close to 2 years, but the working title is How to Be an Adult, and it's for those young adults who I hear in my audiences wherever I go. Someone will raise their hand and say, you know, I think I was raised this way. What do I do about it? You know, I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 24, I'm 31. You know, it's the oldest I've heard from so far who's like, help. I don't know how to turn this around. I can't do a darn thing for myself. And I really feel for those folks, and I want to try to join the effort. You know, I'm hardly the only person thinking about this. Plenty of other people are, but join that effort to say, here's how you craft a meaningful, rewarding, productive, sustainable adult life.
Yeah. And by the way, I have 3 awesome adult kids, so I don't mean to put them down at all. But I had all kinds of great theories.
They were just tweeting at you, Tim. How dare you?
I tell you, I had all the right theories about how to deal with my kids at that age until they actually were at that age, and then it was all thrown out the window. So I found parenting to be much easier when they were toddlers and elementary school than when they were 19 or 20.
Hey, how soon you forget, Tim?
Yeah, I know. So, Julie, we're going to switch gears with you right now, if you don't mind, and play a little game. You are one of the leading authorities on parenting, so we thought we'd ask you some questions about amazing, sarcasm included, amazing products that are available for today's parent, besides your book, of course.
Of course.
Yes. And so, Scott, why don't you tell our audience who Julie will be playing for today?
Julie will be competing for Rebecca Thompson. She's a teacher in BC, Canada. If you're able to identify the fake parenting products, Rebecca will be awarded a free copy of your book, How to Raise an Adult, as well as a free copy of the ridiculously popular edgy rock band, Rockin' the Standards.
All right. So, Julie, we're going to give you 3 chances to find the fake parenting product. We're going to give you 4 real parenting products and 1 fake one.
Okay.
And you have to find the fake one out of them. So we'll go through all 5 of them, and then you're going to have 3 chances. So.
Okay. Okay, Rebecca. I'm doing this for you, girl.
So listen closely, and here we go with your 5 products. Product number 1 is the Kick Bee.
Want to tell the world every single time your baby kicks in utero? Then the Kick Bee is for you. When the small pad detects a kick, it automatically tweets, "I kicked mommy." I don't see how that could be possible. I don't see how that couldn't possibly get more annoying.
Okay, so that's product number 1, the Kick Bee. Product number 2 is Riding Potty Chair.
It's a cute little bunny that resembles a bounce toy. Making bathroom time like a playground ride seems like a really bad idea. Don't rock back and forth so hard, sweetie. Slosh, slosh, yuck.
All right, so that's product number 2, the Riding Potty Chair. And here's product number 3, the Timeout Attitude Adjuster.
Don't have little Johnny just sit in timeout. Give him something to change his behavior by popping in this DVD of ugly child temper tantrums. Kids will be begging to stay out of the timeout attitude adjuster. Bingo, behavior changed.
All right, so that's product number 3, the Timeout Attitude Adjuster. And then product number 4 is called the Windy, W-I-N-D-I, the Windy.
Small tubes that help the little guys relieve gas pressure. While the Windy is great for relieving colic, constipation, and other gas-related problems, it's impossible to use without feeling more than, well, a little awkward.
So that's the Windy. And product number 5 is called, are you ready for this? The Penguin Urinal.
What?
I missed the name. Say it again. It started blanked out on me. Penguin?
The Penguin Urinal.
Okay.
I don't know what's weirder, the fact that it's a urinal for little boys or that little boys are supposed to pee into their penguin friend.
Okay, so believe it or not, 4 of these are real, and
Yes.
one of them isn't.
Yes.
So we've got and there's no Googling on this, by the way.
No, I'm not Googling.
Okay,
Let
okay.
me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I didn't hear you cut out for the kick bee. Did you say that's an in utero thing?
In
Yeah,
utero, it tweets.
it's a pad that sits on your belly that sends a signal or something for
A tweet.
a tweet, right? So the products are the Kick Bee,
Yeah.
the Riding Potty Chair, the Timeout Attitude Adjuster, the Windy, or the Penguin Urinal. So which one would you like to try first as being the fake in the list?
Well, I'm pretty sure the riding potty chair is real, and I'm pretty sure the windy is real. The penguin urinal sounds like it could be real. So for me, I'm narrowing it down to the kick bee and the timeout attitude adjuster. I'm going to go with the timeout attitude adjuster being the fake one.
Wow, you are good. Very first guess.
Awesome.
But it sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
No.
No.
Well, I think the kid who's already in the timeout chair is not going to be wanting to watch a video of bad children. I just think like that one failed in product testing, I'm sure. Plus, who uses DVDs anymore? So yeah.
Good point. Okay. All right. So, Scott, why don't you tell our audience how Julie did?
Well, that's really clear. She won.
Yay!
But she didn't really win anything. She did win for Rebecca. She won Rebecca an amazing book that I'm sure she'll be able to use herself or share with her friends, and also an awesome download of some music that can help her students.
Very cool. All right. So, Julie, thanks for playing along with our silly little game there. And why don't you tell our listeners and your new fans how they can connect with you? I mean, finding your book's pretty easy, but maybe your Twitter handle and website or anything like that so that they can follow up on the broadcast today.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much again for letting me be on your great show. Let's see. On Twitter, I'm at Raise an Adult. Instagram, How to Raise an Adult. Facebook, How to Raise an Adult. And the website is howtoraiseanadult.com. The book is available in local bookstores. It's available online. There's an ebook format. There's an audiobook format. And what I want readers to know most of all is I empathize with parents who are overparenting. I'm not a finger-wagging person telling you you're doing something wrong. I'm saying, look, guys, we're acting with the best of intentions, but we're harming our kids with too much help. So what I love most is parents tell me they feel seen and heard through this book, which makes me feel really good because none of us wants to be yelled at or scolded. We're all doing our best, and hopefully this book can be useful in that regard.
Excellent. And before we say goodbye, you know, part of this raising independent children, Scott and I believe, has to do with letting kids take back their free time some of the time during the day and not always micromanaging every minute of their day. And so we've designed actually a movement around that whole concept. Scott, why don't you share a little bit more?
Yeah, Global School Play Day is the first Wednesday in February every year, and we're excited to just start a movement from schools out that say, hey, let's give kids that unstructured play time so they can learn things like empathy, so they can learn things like problem solving and building relationships with each other. They can work out those things. And so if you visit the website, globalschoolplayday.com, you can register your class and join the movement. We had over 177,000 students around the world last year in just its second year, and we're hoping to get to about 500,000 students this coming up year in 2017. But if you're listening to this later, it's going to be in 2018 and as far beyond, we hope.
Definitely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, got to get those kids outside playing again and making some decisions for themselves.
Absolutely, and it's sort of crazy that we have to build in time into the calendar for unstructured free time. That's exactly the state of things, and I hope Global School Play Day will move from once a year to once a month to once a week.
Right on.
We have to bring free play back into our kids' lives, so I really applaud you guys.
Well, you know, Julie, the kids ask for that after they get an experience of unstructured, and then teachers want to build, and teachers see the power of it. parents see the power of it, and then they start wanting to build it back in once they just re-taste this moment of what kids experience through that freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have kids at the end of the day that say, "Can we do this again?" I'm like, "Every day after school, every weekend." That's what I did growing up. It's like the kids don't know what it means to just play anymore, you know? So yeah, we're just trying to, basically what we're doing with it is we're trying to say, you know, we're going to give up an entire day of formal instruction in our classrooms, and we're basically daring people to tell us that that's a waste of time.
Right.
And so that we can explain to them and show them the research that says that unstructured play is super important for our kids, and they're not getting it anymore. They're not participating. So,
Well,
all right. Well, thanks again, Julie.
I'll promote that when the time comes. Really glad to know about it, and I really congratulate you guys on taking that bold step.
Excellent. Yeah, coming up in February. So, thanks again for being on the show, and thanks for watching.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.